like average weight in the country, but compared to what it was for me, yeah, now we also have a rate siren. So yeah, so they are financially supporting me, which I'm really grateful. 14 years in IT, 3 years in consulting in Agile Drive company. And the key client that I have worked SimCorp for 13 years. This is a Danish company. Actually, I didn't work as a consultant there. So I worked there as a developer, manager, scrum master, whatever position. So it's my whatever position. So it's my like alma mater. Yeah, so quite a lot of things that I know came from SimCorp. And then I helped to Kursiv Bank, OTP Bank with their transformation. I also worked with National Bank of Ukraine and other clients. So yeah, I have some certifications, which I do not really remember already how they are named. So, and now you can see I have changed a bit what I'm doing. So now I'm an officer in UA Army. So this, how we say, this is a word that we didn't want and we didn't choose, but this is what we need to, to protect our land and our culture and beliefs, etc. So a lot of guys that didn't were in the army, now in the army. And yeah, I'm leading around 150 people, quite a crowd. So this is picture from February 23rd, 4 p.m. This is the last normal meeting, and this is me who took this picture. And this is a demo of one of the teams in the TP Bank. So we help them to work in Scrum, and on this demo we have CEO of the bank and main stakeholder in the agriculture domain, and they are showing their results. So life is normal as usual, everything is good. After that I will go at home to my kids, to my wife, to my dog, and yeah, so life will be normal. And then in just one day, February 24th, I will be with my daughter, with my family, with my son, sitting in the shelter. Yes, in the bomb shelter. And this is a bomb shelter that me and my son have prepared in just one day. It's also a fun exercise to do. So yeah, life changed quickly. Yeah. So if you look at the ranks, yeah, or how to say, yeah, or units, different units or hierarchy of different units, and this is based on US Army, then there is a level of squad. Yes, and if we make analogy to IT world, then this is like a Scrum team. So this is 7 plus minus 2 teams, and it's led by a sergeant. And the same as in IT or civil organizations, the basis foundation of everything is the smallest unit. Yes, if your team is if your teams are working in great environment, they're working well, then other things are working also better. And the same in the army. So it's really important that you have a great surgeons. This is the basis for performing a good combat tasks. And then we have a platoon. Yes, this is 3-4 squads. In Ukrainian army, it's usually 3 squads. And then we have a company or battery, a troop. I will say battery during the presentation. And this is where we have 3-4 platoons. I will not say how many I have. And usually it's led by the battery. Yes, it's led by captain, a first lieutenant, or mayor. And yeah, and this is where I am. So I am leading on a battery. Even I'm a second lieutenant. So I'm the most junior officer rank. Yes, second lieutenant. But in 1 week, they asked me, so I was first leader of platoon, and then in 1 week, they asked me to lead the battery. And yeah, as I said, yeah, someone asked me, Dima, why do you think they asked you to be a battery lead without experience, etc.? And I think it's because I am outspoken person. I knew a lot of So it was like a sorting base where we just created our battalion, and there was around 400 people, and I think I knew half of them. Yes, so I was quite outspoken. I was interested in the people, asking where they're from, what they like, trying to find common hobbies, etc. So in time, they like my commanders and other officers, they understood that if they need to find someone quickly among these 400 people, they need to ask Dima, and Dima will find like in 5 minutes. So maybe this was one of the reasons. And agile coaches are usually quite outspoken. They like to talk to people. They are curious about people, etc. So maybe this was one of the reasons. Yeah, so today I will tell you about my way in the army is on this level, battery, and also how I see it on platoon and in my platoons, in my squads. So let's talk about a bit of constraints where I am. Yes, a playing field. So I was completely new in a role as an officer, and I was completely new in a domain. Yes, in the army. Actually, I'm a son of military parents. So my father is an officer, and my mother is still in the military. And yeah, so I knew from childhood some words, and so it was not completely new domain for me, because I got some flashbacks. Oh, probably I have heard this when I was 10 years old, etc. But still, it was completely new. We didn't have any onboarding time, so yeah, we just started to learn in the fields. So I didn't have a buddy, I didn't have a coach, etc. From the day one, from the minute one, I had to perform some tasks and figure out how to do this. Because it was March, it was a crazy time. No one knew where the key will be captured, etc. So yeah, it was quite turbulent. So leading around 150 armed men with different armor. Yeah, so this is also important context. The unit, the battery divided in smaller units, and they are geographically distributed. So this is safety, yes, and this is more optimal in the current digital ways of doing things. So we are not sitting all together, because then it's quite risky. During air raid siren, someone may shoot you, and then you do not have a huge unit. So we are quite mobile and small units distributed. Then imagine you have around 150 men that you haven't hired. Yes, so you didn't have, I didn't have any single interview. Yes, whether this person, I like this person, whether it matches my culture or my view on the principles, morale, etc. No, I just got what I got. If you do not like this man, sorry, you cannot move or fire them. They're just with you. So you got what you got. You got around 150 armed men, and then you need to deal with them. You cannot just fire them, even if they're completely crazy. You need to, and this is where I'm starting to remember my workshops that I did on facilitation about how to deal with dysfunctional behavior. Yes, and this is where it helps me a lot, because you cannot fire a person. You really need to deal with dysfunctional behavior and calm down and remove micro conflicts in the unit, etc. If you do not like the job, if I don't like the job, I cannot quit. Yeah, so whatever is happening, whatever is saying to me, I cannot quit. I need to carry on. Yes, just imagine yourself in such condition that you are leading a big crowd. You do not have chance to interview even a new guys, and you cannot fire them. And if you don't like it, you just stay. You just carry on. So, and this is happening in war context. So yeah, so this is a kind of the playing field where I'm playing a soccer. Yes. So, and this is where I'm starting to to talk. This was just like a foundation for my story, where I am currently, where I was before, and now I will tell what helped me, what knowledge of it as of being agile coach helped me actually in the army, which I think set me a lot of energy and nerves, etc. So the first thing that I started to use from day one, I think from hour one, is Canadian framework. Canadian framework is a sense-making framework, or you can call decision-making framework. So the framework that helps you, depending on the context where you are, to understand how to make decisions. Because depending on environment where you are, you need to act differently. This decision making framework was invented, or how to say, or created by Dave Snowden, Welsh scientist, and Canadian from Welsh means environment or place for multiple belongings. So it's like cultural norms, traditions, etc. What is going on around you, etc. And depending on where you are, you need to act differently. And of course, it's logically that where I was in the March and still mainly is chaos. Yes, so you can see this, one of the quadrants is chaos. And I knew that in chaos, you shouldn't plan. There is no sense, there is no reason to plan, because your plan will be ruined just in 5 minutes or half an hour. So I didn't spend time on planning, and it saved me so much energy, because my colleagues, other officers that didn't know this, they tried to make plans, they tried to make a proper communication to staff, and then in half an hour, what they prepared was just wasted. Because now we need to do completely different in opposite direction. Yes, and they were nervous, etc. So what I did instead, I just did a little planning of the act, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then I act, and then I sense. So then I got a feedback from my act, whether it was a kind of a good act, whether I need to change something, etc. And yeah, so this was one thing that helped me a lot. And also from another thing, it helped me when my commanders came to me and say, Dima, this is the best practice. This is how we should do in this situation. And I knew that in chaos, there are no best practices. There are just novel practices that are evolving after you're acting. So I ignore some of the orders, you can say, which they think was like a best practice, but I felt that they are not going to work. And I also saved quite a lot of energy for my stuff, because I didn't ask them to do something which was stupid. And yeah, this is about obvious domain. It's not talk about Canadian framework. Yes, you can look at it in YouTube, etc. I really recommend it. I will just tell one more word about disorder. So there is also a disorder. Now it's called, I think, confused domain. This is when you do not think in which domain you are, and you behave by default. So for example, if you worked in a bank for 15 years and just did according to the procedures, then you will automatically, by default, you will try to find procedures in order to perform some tasks. But in chaos, there are no procedures because it's completely new. So before acting, you need to put yourself in the disorder or confused, yes, and think in what domain you are. And if you understand that you're in chaos, then you do not find best practices or good practices, you just act. Over time, in March, it was completely chaos. Now, over time, a lot of things moved to complex domain, where I started experiments, so I have time for experimenting, and some of the things moved to complicated, where we already have some good practices. Yeah, so this is the first thing that helped me a lot. And I remember during the trainings before war started, I like to tell about going outside of the comfort zone, and I'm personally the guy that I always try to seek how to go outside of comfort zone. Yes, because this is how you develop. But I couldn't imagine that I will be so far out of my comfort zone. So sometimes I feel like I am driving, I am swimming with a shark. Yeah, a bit of real messages or real situations that I actually explain in you why I'm saying it's chaos. Yes, why I'm saying it's chaotic domain. Yeah. So, for example, at 6:30 a.m., I got a call. Yes, and then a text message that Dima, in 30 minutes, you should give me 2 people that will go for explosives expert training in 30 minutes. And you should understand that these 2 people, they will clean the lethal litter of war. Yes, the bombs, mines, etc. is what is left by Russian army. So in 30 minutes, I will change someone's life. And I said to the commander, I cannot do this in 30 minutes. How can you imagine that at 6:30 a.m. I should find 2 people among 150? And he said, just pick 2 from the list. Open the list, you have the list, just pick 2. And I was shocked, yes, because I knew that I will change their lives. It's really dangerous thing. So instead, what I did, as I said, we as Agile coach is quite outspoken. So I already knew quite a lot of guys, even it was just 1 week after we kind of gathered it, and I knew who might be interested. So I spent time talking to them to double check if this is what really they would like to do for the rest of their life, or at least for the rest of the war. And I found 2 guys that really wanted to do this. Yes, and now they're super motivated. They are now somewhere near the front line. This is 2 my guys. They are finding the surprises, yeah, the gifts from Russia. And this is 2 of them. Carry on some big missile, etc. Okay, we have air raid siren is cancelled, which is great. Yeah, oh, this is in the car. This is the result of the day. You can see how. Yeah, so it was quite chaotic. Just in 30 minutes, give me 2 people. Or another one, give me 1 person from each battery that will be medical instructor. And without medical education, so the person will be sent to training for, like, I don't remember, for a month or something, and will be medical. And deadline right now. Again, I just put a smile. Deadline, right? Just give 1 person, open the list, pick the person, and that's all. This is, yeah. So again, I spent 1 day. I didn't care that someone was mad about me, because again, I knew that I will change someone's life. Yes, this is not boxes, these are people. And I found a guy that like it, yes, because medical instructor is quite dangerous position. On a battlefield, medical instructor is the target number 1 together with the commander. Yes, so and also it should be a person that at least doesn't scared of blood, yes, and also have a really strong health in order to move wounded person from the battlefield, etc. So yeah, but deadline right now. And yeah, another example is we are moving away in half a day during the night. Be ready at 4 a.m. Okay, so this is just examples of chaotic domain. Yes, and knowing that I shouldn't plan, I just did a little planning of the act, and then gathered the information, feedback. It helped me a lot. So this is one of the things. Yeah, but with such messages, you can understand that there was a lot of reaction. Yes, I had the context switching, a lot of context switching, and I wanted to change it. I wanted to move from this picture where there is a lot of react to a picture where I have more proact, and this is where I worked since end of March. Yes, when I when I kind of get into normal mood after a few weeks of started as an officer. So how I worked on it, I like this quote from William I found on LinkedIn. My thought of the day, that there is a between command and control, there is always an option. Yes, and when you think about army, you think about command and control, and this is what I was told by my higher officers. You need to command and control. But I knew, come on, how can you control 150 armed men distributed geographically? It's impossible. So I knew there is something wrong with this. So and he asked, what is your option to move away from command and control? And I think everybody will have own option depending on your knowledge, experience, on context where you are. I will just share what I choose as my option. So my option was to enable leadership on every level. And when I say every level, I say squad, platoon. Yes, not to have it on a battery, not to have all control in a battery lead. And how I choose to do it, I decided to do it via providing clarity. And I will talk more about this, about by creating psychologically safe environment and by raising competence. So these are the three things that I decided to focus on, which help to enable leadership. And basically by delegating more and by willingness and motivation of people to take the responsibility. So I'll tell about this more. So let's look at these three things, how I did it. So the first one, provide clarity via common task board. I will say, come on, Dima, it's so simple. Common task board, Trello board, but it was revolution in the army. When we created it for, so I created it for my platoon leads and also for the officers that are helping me in battery. And so this is where we have all tasks that we need to do. And we put some deadlines, and also what they like is that they put results of their work here, like on this card with the picture. So others can see how other guys did it. So there is some knowledge sharing happening, and they're starting to call each other, etc., and ask, okay, how you did it, etc. And you also have some knowledge base built, because you can go at any point of time and look how it was done. So yeah, clarity via common task board. So it is clear what kind of tasks platoon leads have. This is the slides that I just edited yesterday. So I created one more common task board. We have currently we have a big problem with vacations. I will not tell why, but it's quite difficult to get for soldiers vacation right now. And it was not clear completely where is the request for vacation. Is it on approval level in battalion, already in battery, or in battalion, or higher? And I managed to convince people in the battalion that we will create something like a Kanban board, where all batteries in the battalion, they put these vacation orders or requests. Yes, and so now it's transparent, and we have less of frustrating communication, I would say. At least it is clear where everything, and then we can react. So again, providing clarity. Also, providing clarity via information radiators. So radiators, the ones that are radiate information, that share the information. It's not really fancy, yes, not what we used to see in IT teams, etc. But you should understand that having a printer in the army is already a privilege. It's already a great thing to have. Having a colorful printer, wow, it's awesome. So it's also, there is like a cliche that some of the officers, they think more they know, more power they have. So some officers trying to keep the information, like, okay, they don't know, so they will ask me, and this is how I will show that I have power. But I understood that I understand that this is not right, because then I'll be a bottleneck and I will be asked like every 3-5 minutes about some information. And what is more important, guys will not be able to take right decisions if they have if they do not have enough clarity. So the information that we can share and they know anyway, so we put on Radiators. So this is information that all soldiers in the battery see. And this is just examples. Of course, we have more. Then we have refrigerators providing clarity. And this is more for platoons. When I say refrigerators, it means that it's not sharing of the information. It's just a container of the information that some of the guys have access to. And this is for platoons, for the officers, for platoon leads, for the officers of the battery. It has a lot of information on each soldier, on each unit, on each accommodation, etc. So whenever we asked to provide some information in report, and we ask every day to make a lot of reports, we spent a lot of time in the beginning. We agreed that we will put this information in one place. So we put it in this huge Excel table. There are a lot of tabs on different topics. And over time, it became easier and easier to do these reports, because you just create a pivot table, and then I can create report in 5-10 minutes. If it's some new information is requested, then we just add it. And also it helps platoon leads to take decisions, and also it helps me to delegate a lot of tasks, because I know that they can find this information here. So providing clarity via information refrigerators is another thing. And via short feedback loop. So we have, you can say daily stand-ups, but it's not stand-ups, checkups twice a day, quite early in the morning, very early, like 6 or something, and quite late in the evening. This is where we check with platoon leads how the things, etc. When we have a tough period, a hard period, we are doing demo, retro, and planning on a daily basis. There is no reason to do it on a higher time horizon, yes, because things are still changing quite a lot. So the July was quite turbulent for us, so we did it for a month on each day, demo, retro, and planning. Then every week I visit each platoon. So even they are all geographically distributed, I drive to them every week at least once. Yes, sometimes I can be 3-4 times a week. This is the week where I will be probably 4 times. So every day, almost every day, I was at each platoon this week. And this is where it helped to kind of talk to people, because otherwise they do not see you, and then the questions might accumulate, etc. And all have my phone number, all soldiers, and they can call me at any time, 24/7, because some of my colleagues, they respect the hierarchy of the army. They saying, okay, if soldier will contact them, they will say, have you told to your sergeant first, and then sergeant, have you told to platoon lead, and then you should go to me. I just opened to anybody. I just gave a phone number to everybody in my battery, and I said, you can call me at any time. So, and some of the guys are calling, and I am never asking whether you had a talk with platoon lead first, the sergeant. So short feedback loop. So they know that they can get answers quite soon, and this also helps, yes, to provide clarity. If they have questions or some challenges, they can always we have these touch points, yes, checkups where I visit physically every week at least once, etc. Andrei, how much time I have?
All time is yours, Dima.
Okay. Okay, good.
Don't worry about that.
Okay, I thought till 8 o'clock if you keep time. Okay, good. Ukraine time. Let's move on. So And one more about providing clarity via proper communication. What I didn't like and still don't like is the way things, orders especially, are communicated. In 90% of times, it's what to do and not why. Again, today it was, you can see there's kind of examples that I can share, like take a picture of all soldiers. And today we had the same order. I think it's the third time over the last 5 months we have take a picture of all orders. We need to do it today. And without understanding why I need to do this picture of all soldiers, we cannot understand how to take a picture. Whether it should be like only face, whether it should be half of the body, should be they, I don't know, in some uniform, should they see some signs or not, etc. Is it for passport? Is it for military ticket? Is it for just they know how soldiers look like? So without understanding why, we just like a monkeys do some work, then we send to them and they say it's not right, do a picture of soldiers. But again, picture of soldiers, no, it should be on another background, etc. So this is a big problem, and this is where I am not tired to ask why, and quite often I'm hated by some of my commanders because I'm not just saying yes sir and doing what needs to be done. I am asking why. And sometimes they provide why, sometimes they just put bad words at me, and yeah, then I ask one more time, they put bad words at me one more time, and this goes may go forever. So yeah, this is a problem, and this is what I'm trying to change by always asking why. And I hope sometimes they will understand that Dima will ask why, so we should not say only what, but also the reason for this order. So let's see. Yeah. And so this was about clarity. Yes, providing clarity. So it helps everybody in the better understand what is going on at the extent they can know this information. Yes, because there is some part of the information which is secret, it cannot be shared, but a lot of information can be shared. So providing clarity, this is one of the things that we're working on. The second thing is psychological safety. Probably a lot of you have heard about a project Aristotle made by Google 10 years ago, where they tried to understand what makes their high-performing teams as a high-performing team. And they tried to search for 2 years, and then after different attempts, they understood such thing as psychological safety. When team member is okay to take risk because if he or she makes a mistake, they know that they will not be punished, but they will just learn from this mistake. And yeah, when we look at the army, we probably think about army like someone is shouting at you and just saying, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And you just saying this in order they leave you, they forget about you. Yes, and there is kind of not a lot of psychological safety. I should say that in Ukraine army, it's getting better and better. I think because a lot of young guys that were not grown in the army came in now, so there is it's getting better with psychological safety. So I focus to have this atmosphere to extend possible in my units. And how I explaining it, I didn't do like a training explaining the psychological safety. I just put one question that I said that I would like, if there is some mistake or incident happened, I would like us to think about one question. What are the learnings we can get out of this? So as simple as it is, without putting fingers on people, without blaming, etc. So focus on learning, yes. And as I said, in the army, it's quite difficult to do because the mistakes and incident might be quite different, and it needs courage. And I think I'm in such a position that it's easier for me and a lot of my colleagues that were not in the army. It's easier for them. So first thing, why it's easier, because I do not biased with how to do in the army knowledge. Yes, I wasn't grown up in the army. I know how things may be done differently, especially from my consultancy, where I saw a lot of companies. And the second thing is that I simply do not care about my career in the army. I do not want to be general. Yes, I am. It's even better for me because I am the the most junior officer rank in the army. They even cannot punish me to make me even more junior, you know. And in the army, they cannot make me like move out from the officer unless I do something stupid. But I think I'm not so
Like
such a
this
man
talk,
that
yeah? Dima, like this
yeah,
talk, you
like
mean?
this talk, yes. But so they really do not have any leverage. So so when someone is going mad at me because I'm asking stupid question or explaining that this is stupid, I just saying you can fire me, but they cannot fire me. So and not caring about my career is is one of the advantage that I can actually look at psychological safety and trying to do things differently. As David McConnell in terms, I hope I spelled correctly the last name, in Turn the Ship Around book says caring but not caring. So caring about your staff but not caring about organizational consequences to your career or to you. So this is about me. I simply don't care. Yes.
Yeah,
So
turn the ship around is David Marquette. McConnell is
yeah,
about great teams, I believe. Yeah, but it's an
yeah.
awesome quote.
Teams of teams. Yes. Oh,
Teams of teams,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's just for those who want to read the book. It's not. Don't take
Yeah.
it personally. Just caring
Yeah.
about
It's fine.
others.
It's fine. Yeah. So as I said, psychological safety, I'm just putting it simply, what are the learnings we can take from the situation? Yes, just simple this. And ask not to blame people, not to finger point, etc. And this is one of the example where we are looking at, after some incidents, we are just discussing how to do things differently. What are the learnings? Because I know that the problem is not in the people, the problem is in the system. And we had few incidents that after these learnings, we change the procedures. Like we have some official procedures how we should do things, but in the current circumstances, they are quite risky. Yes, because the context has changed. So we change these procedures unofficially, and we minimized risk of happening these incidents happening again. Yeah, and this would not happen if you would just shout at this person. Yes, but we just focused on learnings, and people were open to think on what we need to change. So this is how we trying to have psychological safety. It's hard. It's not easy. Yeah, a bit about motivation. I remember when some officer, I think it was first week or second week, I started in the army, came to me with fire in the eyes and said, "Oh, Dima, I will tell you about how you should keep control, etc. You should motivate them. You should give them something, and then have ability to take it out." So kind of, and I said, "Do you mean like a carrot and stick approach?" And he said, "Yeah, probably." And I said, "It's not working." He thought that I'm stupid, but I knew that it's not really working in modern times. Yes, so instead, as Daniel Pink says, what motivates new generations is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So the purpose for Ukrainian soldiers, so purpose is divided by meaning and contribution. So like just one moment, okay? Just one moment. I will answer to. Okay, I'll do it later. So meaning I think is clear for everybody in Ukrainian soldiers. Yes, we are fighting for our culture, for our life, and contribution actually might not be clear because. Okay, guys, let's just hear one moment. Okay, let's say.
Yeah, just take your time.
Just one.
Yeah,
we can interact people during that period.
We're pretty sure it's important. So
Yeah, it will be better to answer even for us, some of us as a guests. So while Dima is a little bit busy, we want to remind you that this initiative, Agile with Ukraine, was founded to collect some donations as well. So the foundations we are working closely with is Uniters, for example, and Colo. They are buying some tactical equipment, some medical equipment, and other very important stuff for Ukrainian defenders, such as Dima and his soldiers. So please don't forget to, even $1 is important now. You know, every single hryvnia, dollar, euro is very important. So links are in the chat. You can use them. And if you will send screenshots to us, we are planning to organize some prizes in future for the most proactive people supporting the initiative. And now we are giving microphone back to Dima. I hope that everything is okay with him and
yes, all is
Ukraine
fine
as well. Awesome.
I already made the joke last time when I spoke. I will do it again. Like there are 3 stages of in life of army man. First stage, you're born. Second stage, you got 4 missed phone calls from your commander, and third stage, you're dead. Yes, so I decided not to be that. Good. So I also thought about motivation of the people. Yes, and so according to Daniel Pink, what motivates us is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. As I said, meaning and purpose is quite clear for everybody in Ukraine. The contribution might not be clear because in March it was crazy times. They took men not looking at their experience, not looking at their military specialization. For example, I studied for 2 years for anti-aircraft systems, but I am not working with anti-aircraft systems. Yes, which is a bit of insane. Yeah, country spent and I spent 2 years in studying this. I got like some military specialization, but nobody look at it. I just was put somewhere where there was a need at that time. Now it has changed in Ukraine army. Two months ago, there was some law or order where they look at it. So, and I have a lot of such guys that do not understand their contribution because their experience is not what they're doing here. Yes, so they could bring more value somewhere else. And then there is a mastery, yes, and this is where I'm focusing on, and this helps with contribution. So I'm trying to help guys and myself to be a better master of the things we are doing, and I will show you a bit how we are doing this. Mainly it's focusing on different trainings, yes, and by training them, guys are starting to be more confident and they are understanding better their contribution, how they contribute. And there is an autonomy. In autonomy, I focused a bit by change. So as you remember, I told that surgeons is the basis for high performing battery or whatever. Yes, the leader on the squad, the lowest level. And what I did, as you remember, I cannot move people. So if I have a surgeon that completely crazy or not performing job, etc., I cannot move them. So what I did, I moved them unofficially. So I made them So I just made an order as a battery lead that since this time you are not a sergeant, you are a soldier. And then I took a soldier and said that since, of course, there was a proper communication, etc., with all of them, they were all okay with this. And then the soldier is a surgeon. So I have 4 currently surgeons that are kind of unofficially downgraded to soldiers, and 4 soldiers that upgraded to surgeons. So the unit is now performing orders of the soldiers, not of the surgeons. So this is what I did with autonomy, and I probably will do with 2-3 more squads the same. So what I focused on is basically mastery and trainings, which helps with contribution and purpose. So this is the pictures of the trainings that I have organized. I found a lot of guys with a real like military or fight or combat experience. And together with them, we created a training base where we do a lot of training stuff. And this helps to bring motivation back to some of the people. Yes, because we should say there are not a lot of trainings carried out in our army. And if I would not do this initiative, a lot of the things that we should know, guys will not know. Yes, and so trainings is a big focus. And I remember skepticism from some of the officers because they said, Dima, you are going on this one-day training. What you will learn? It's just nothing. One-day training. But I knew that Jack feels drop by drop, and I knew that after this one-day training, I will find another one-day training, and then another. And one of the friends, I think Natalia, I saw Natalia on the call, asked me, Dima, what is the core curriculum of the trainings that you can do now? And I said, okay, interesting. And I started to write it down. And this is in Ukrainian, but this is kind of co-curriculum of what type of trainings we can provide to our soldiers. And you should understand that some of the items you can perform like for half a day or even a day, like one statement. So it's quite a big chunk of trainings we already can do. So, and we did it drop by drop. Yes, I think I started, then I found guys that are also interested in it, like platoon leads, sergeants. Then I started to send them on the training. So we kind of did it in parallel. And now we have, we are much better in it, and we can lift the mastery by ourselves already. And I also did cadence for trainings in my battery for all platoons. So I know exactly at what time, in what day each platoon is doing what training. Yes, and it means that I can go to some of the platoon and see how they do it. And I learned something from them. Maybe I will tell something to them, etc. So it also helps to have a cadence, kind of the same heartbeat of trainings. And then it also helps not to forget about them, because you simply, with all the tasks we have and different situations, we simply can't forget about trainings because it's kind of not urgent. Some guys think it's not important, and they just forget about it. So, but now we have like, okay, guys, this is the schedule. We just need to do it. Good. So provide, you remember my option is to provide leadership on every level, on platoon level, on squad level. We are 3 things: providing clarity, creating psychological safe environment, and working on the mastery, on raising the competence. And why I did it, it helped me to delegate, because when people understand the context, they have more information. They know that they will not be shot if they did a mistake, and they have some competence to do some tasks. They have more will to actually take the responsibility and do some stuff. Yes. So these are kind of the prerequisites in order to take the responsibility and not be afraid. And I use these delegation levels from management 3.0, and some of the items I put the ones that I can share. Some of the items I delegated on different levels, yes, because you can delegate on different levels. For example, decision on sanctions, the second row is tell. It's basically not delegation. Yes, I'm just telling, because still platoon leads, they don't want to be a badass for their guys sometimes. Yeah, so sometimes I do this decision on sanctions for the platoon and the people, but would like to change it, of course. Or if it's a people movement, as remember, I cannot move people outside the battery, but of course I can move inside the battery. Yes, so I have geographically distributed units. Some have different strengths and weakness, and when there are some conflicts, etc., then where I can see we can benefit of moving people, then yeah, then I'm consulting and deciding to move people between. I think we can move this soon to agree or advise level, where I will not decide, I will advise, and platoon leads will decide between each other about movement. Or some of the things that I have completely delegated, and then I have some time free up, yes, so I can be more proactive. You remember this from React to Proact. For example, the guard schedule, I am not doing anything for it, so it's platoon leads and sergeants. It's platoon leads, they are put in a guard schedule on how to on how to guard the critical, for example, infrastructure objects, etc. Evening checkup of the stuff. Yeah, even on the unit where I am in the evening, I do not check up the stuff. So it's again platoon leads. Vacation schedule, we even delegated to soldiers. Yes, it was sometimes when it was platoon lead who created vacation schedule, but some soldiers were not happy. Yes, you cannot make all happy. Yeah, and then they kind of negative to platoon lead. So yeah, so I advise maybe you can just give them this power to soldiers, so they are now given a vacation schedule in each unit themselves and talking more to each other, kind of communicate and agree on who can go in what day, etc. And yeah, there is also some checkup with soldiers that are on vacation, etc. So some of the things fully delegate, some of them are kind of in between. If you're interested in different delegation levels, I encourage you to look at 7 delegation level. So yeah, I'm not in Agile. You can say not working as an Agile coach, but this is a car I saw a few weeks ago. And you can see I almost everywhere see Agile, even it's not spelled correctly. And I just would like to share one story which shows how people around the globe are helping Ukraine. So on LinkedIn, I was contacted by one of my connection, and it says, my friend, Miss Katerina Potemkina, is displaced along with 2 children and a dog in Denmark, and she's searching for a job while her husband is in Ukraine. And I know that you have a good network in Ukraine and also in IT. Maybe you can help out something and help her to find a job. And then I said, hi, William, thank you very much for caring about your friend, Miss Katerina Potemkina. And I'm really grateful for this, because actually this is my wife. So this was really funny story. Yeah, and I actually feel this support, not only me. I think everybody in Ukraine feels support from around the globe, and I would like to say thank you to everybody. And please carry on, because yeah, it might be risky that it will be just the usual thing, a war in Ukraine, but every day a lot of men and women and kids are died and cities are destroyed. So war is coming, so just keep on supporting us. Yeah, and so the last slide. So my option between command and control is to enable leadership on every level via 3 things: providing clarity, creating psychological safety, and raising competence. This helps me to delegate. And why I want this? Because I'm a lazy person. I want to have time for my hobbies. So I like to run a lot. I ran 2021 km in 2021 year. So now I'm running not so often, but when I have time, I run. And also one of my dreams came true. My wife finally said, "Okay, Dima, you can buy a motorbike." And yeah, so I would like also to have time to drive on motorbike. Yeah, so I think that's all that I wanted to show you. And now we have time for questions, if any.
Yeah, but before questions, we can do some appreciation and applause for Dima. You can do it with reactions in Zoom, or you can turn on your microphone cameras and do something like this. It will be more real. We cannot meet offline, but I believe Dima definitely deserves more even than this, but it's at least what we can do. So
thank you.
Thank you, Dima.
Thank you very much for an awesome presentation.
There is a
really,
statement
really cool,
in chat from Orest. No questions, just a statement. Dima, you are great.
Thank you, Orest. Nice to see you, Orest.
I've seen a question earlier from Alona when you were you were saying about the routines that you brought up to the team about the daily checkups, the retrospectives. Alona was wondering, how are you doing demos? What is
that was I thought that was an opening for dirty jokes. I don't know where you are.
What is your increment, yeah?
About the Russians. However, yeah, there is actually a more probably suitable question. So I can see, at least in my head, the planning that might be happening, because you receive your orders and you need to pass them out and whatever, and things must be happening. But what was the reaction, and generally, was there any struggle from the teams to switch this, and so that they would be willing and actually maybe excited to show off some of their achievements throughout the day on a daily basis? Because I am assuming that we're coming from a very structured sort of hierarchical system into more agile, and things might be unconventional for a lot of them. But yeah, if there are dead Russians, that would be also good.
Give me a second, I'll stop streaming so Dima can openly answer whatever he wants to answer. Yeah. And yeah, also for those who are not visiting our events in Zoom and just watching after, it's your problem that you not decided to join us, so you cannot